Hey there, all you gutsy entrepreneurs. Tis I, Dave Murray, the big guy at Mayniax Branding, coming at you from Connor O'Neill's. Don't worry, this isn't because I'm picking on anybody. It's because it's story time. Because for this Mayniax Monday video, we're going to talk about how you need to stop thinking of yourselves as personal brands. So here's what's up. Years ago, 2009, I believe, I had one of the most fun days I can ever remember. Before that, I used to come to Connor's all the time. As I've said in other videos, it was my first home away from home when I moved to Ann Arbor. And I had a bet with one of the bartenders that he said, if you come in dressed as a leprechaun, I will buy your beer, I will buy your drinks for the whole day. And I said, oh, game on, because here's the thing about me. No amount of money is too much to win a joke or win a bet, to make a joke or win a bet. We're going to maybe edit that. I don't know. Probably not. I'm not very good at that. But the point is, I'm going to win this bet. So I went out. I rented a leprechaun outfit and actually bought the hat. I came in with a pot of gold foil candy and a box of Lucky Charms. And when I walked up to the bar, he just looked at me. His first look was horror. His second look, admiration. He's like, I can't believe he did it. I was kind of geeked about it. I got my drinks paid for that day. It was a blast. Hung out with a lot of friends. Another friend came out later that night, and it was a great time. People wanted to have their pictures taken. It was nuts. It was a blast. One of my absolute favorite days, one of the most fun, genuinely ridiculous days of my life. But here's the thing. I got hammered because, hey, free drinks. And it was one of those times where I realized I probably shouldn't be doing this so much. So, one of those days is one of those ones that made me just start to think maybe a little less on the drinking. And here's how that ties into everything. When you think of yourself as a personal brand, by definition, a brand has to remain consistent. And so, if you think of yourself as a brand, you're not actually allowing yourself to think of you as an individual who needs to make mistakes to grow. Keep in mind that a brand today, online, digital, anybody will pick up on anything. If any brand out there makes one tiny mistake, the whole world knows, and sometimes it sinks a brand. That's why it's so important to have your brand really dialed in. But you as an individual need to make mistakes because that's how you grow. When it comes to how I used to drink, I used to be really good at it, or bad, depending on your point of view, I suppose. But that was something that I realized I needed to change. And if at the time I thought of myself as a personal brand, I might have thought, well, gotta be consistent. Time to drink 5 more shots of whiskey, guys. Let's do this. I don't know why I just went to that accent, especially in an Irish pub, but I digress. I would still be that guy because I thought of myself as a brand instead of an individual who understood that I needed to make changes to grow. So if you're not growing, if you're not out there constantly learning and constantly trying to better yourself and who you are and all these other things, you're not living life. And so you don't get to do that if you think of yourselves as personal brands. So for the love of God, don't think of yourself as a personal brand. That's a horrible thing. Think of yourself as an individual. Now, in the context of work, there are certain aspects that you want to hold back. You might not want to tell people every dirty little thing about you. But when it comes to life in general, you got to be you. So if you must think of yourself as a personal brand, just think of yourself as a personal brand that's always evolving, even though you know that no brand itself can really evolve except in ways it handles things. It has to be about consistency. So if you're about consistency, you don't grow. That's a bad thing. If you're about growth, you get much better as a human. That's right. And guess what? This is coming from a branding guy. I know. It's nuts, right? Anyway, that's it. Everybody have a fantastic Mayniax Branding Monday. Ah, shit. The very last one.
It's okay. You can still close. just edit it.
No.
Okay.
Say when. Hey everybody, it is I, Dave Murray, the big guy at Mayniax Branding, coming at you from Connor O'Neill's, which was my first home away from home when I moved to Ann Arbor way back when. And the reason I'm wearing the hat is because, let's be honest, St. Patrick's Day is coming up, and I have a story. It was good times. It was 2009, one of the best St. Patrick's Days, one of the best days of my life. I just had a blast. It was a fantastic day, and here's why. I used to come here all the time, and one of the bartenders made a bet with me, and he said, if you come here dressed as a leprechaun on St. Patrick's Day, I will buy your drinks for the entire day. He didn't think I'd do it. I'm a guy that tends to spend money to win bets. I also spend money just for a good joke, but I digress. So I went out, I rented a leprechaun outfit, bought the hat, showed up with a big jar of gold foil wrapped candy, a box of Lucky Charms, walked up to the bar. His first look was horror. He's like, holy crap, I'm paying for this guy's drinks all day. His second look, however, admiration. It was a blast. It was a fantastic day. Drinks all the time. People want pictures taken. I had friends here that were just having a blast. Another friend of mine showed up later that night, and it was just a party. The whole day was just insane fun. Nothing you had to think too hard about. It was just a great time. Now, how exactly does that tie into today's Mayniax Monday video, which is all about not thinking of yourself as a personal brand? Well, let me tell you. After I adjust the glasses. There we go. Here's what it's all about. A brand implies consistency. A brand implies no growth. A brand has to stay the same thing forever. I mean, you know, there's different processes that it can follow, there's different procedures it can follow, but its why, its values, its product offering, those things don't evolve. They can't. Keep in mind also, in today's day and age, does that make sense? I don't know. I never liked that phrase, and here I am using it. Anyway, keep in mind that if a brand screws up at all online, anywhere in the world, the internet picks it up and blasts it. It goes nuts. They are lambasted for who knows how long. Sometimes it puts them out of business. It's a bad thing. But you as an individual shouldn't think of yourself as a personal brand, because since branding implies consistency, you as an individual shouldn't always be the same person. And here's where that story ties in. I used to be a guy that could come in here and drink a lot. And after a while, I realized that was no way to run a business, because, you know, when you have a couple fights with a sidewalk, the sidewalk's going to win. So it got to that point where I was saying, okay, if I'm trying to build something awesome, I can't be that guy. If I thought of myself as a personal brand, every day I would be that guy. Sorry, I think my hair's messed up, and I'm insanely vain. So I would not be able to evolve at all. I would not be able to be somebody that didn't drink as much, so that I could help my brand grow, so that I could make sure Mayniax Branding was a little bit respected in the area, instead of, oh hey, that's the guy that fights with the sidewalks and stumbles out of corners all the time. I don't want that. And for that to happen, I had to grow as an individual. I couldn't stay consistently that guy that could keep drinking. So remember, for your brand, for the brand you're creating, it has to be about consistency. It just does. But for you, you're not a personal brand. You're an individual. You're somebody that needs to grow as a person. You're somebody that has to make mistakes to be better. So just keep that in mind next time everybody's talking to you about how to improve your personal brand and all that stuff. It's not about being a personal brand. It's about being an individual, and it's about improving you. Now, when it comes to a business context, if people are saying, you know, if you're trying to consider yourself a personal brand, of course there are things that you want to hold back from people in a business context. Things that maybe you might find deplorable about yourself, and you just go, you know what, no, never mind, we're not going to talk too much about that. That's okay, but I don't ever want you to think of yourself as a personal brand. Remember, it implies consistency, and this is a rant and I'm going nuts. It's just the idea that a brand is consistent. and it doesn't allow an individual to grow. And guys, we gotta grow. If we're not growing, if we're not learning, if we're not picking up new things, if we're not going nuts, making mistakes, learning from those, having some fun, you know, just becoming better people, then we're kind of screwed. That's no way to go through life. So I suppose that's about it. Everybody have a fantastic Mayniax Monday, and as always, stay gutsy, gang.